Hi, I'm James Dean Vogel of the Bioprocess Institute. Welcome to Between Two Ferrules. Today we're going to have Tod Canty of Canty Incorporated. Tod is a graduate of University of Buffalo, and his company manufactures sight flow indicators, glass to metal seals, particle sizing systems, and lots of other fun things to help us in the bioprocess industry. So please welcome Tod Canty. Welcome, Tod, to Between Two Ferrules. Come on, let's sit down.
Thanks, Jim. Nice to be here.
Glad you can make it. You know, things are starting to heat up now. People are traveling and doing things. So now that you're in New England, we're glad that you're here. And we've been trying to get you here for a long time. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on with Canty now and some things you've been working on in the recent past.
Yeah, we've been involved in the biotech industry for, since its beginning in pharmaceutical for 35 years or more. And we started off with our fiber optic lighting, and it actually started in hyperbaric chambers, and then moved into the pharma and biotech and chemical industries. And there was a need to look inside the process vessels. Well, that pushed us into the light and cameras early on in the chemical industry, but the biotech industry didn't see the need to have a view in there constantly. Unlike if you're dealing with polymers and that, where it can, you don't want any residual material in there and things like that. But recently, we've evolved into a huge demand for cameras, mainly because people can't get into the plant anymore. And on top of that, they've found we've put our light and camera combination onto a bioreactor, and they were able to run 20 to 30% higher in volume with that one device being mounted on, which was a game changer for them. Originally, the goal was to reduce anti-foam usage, but it did a combination. It did reduce the anti-foam use for sure, but then when they found they could run higher volumes because they had a more secure level tracking than just what they had before, they really couldn't track the foam level prior to this.
Okay. All right, and these are on fixed reactors like steel tanks, or are they on single use, or both?
Both.
Okay.
We started off with the stainless tanks in a pilot plant, and they had huge success there, and they immediately got us into the single use. And again, we thought, well, is it needed? We were hoping, but we found out that they really can't see well into the opaque bags as well as they would like to, and we gave them a clear view of what was going on and the foam levels so they could have the same benefit as the classic. And the last thing they want to do is have a foam out and plug their filter.
Sure. Now, does that look through a sight glass down or from the side, or how does it see the foam?
There's three applications for it. There's, at the laboratory, we look in the side of a reactor, the little glass 1 liter to 5 liter reactors, and we can offer that all the way up to pilot and production. But as it went up in size, we went from the top down, and for several reasons. One, in the stainless reactors, you don't get the entire view length because to put an ob-round window on there is very dangerous. It has been done in the past, but
we've gotten away from that as an industry.
Yeah, and that's because the glass was so fragile. You could get blowouts, and it just not a good thing to do. It's sort of like splits like a baked potato. Okay. So we go top down, which is where they were orientated before of looking, and we're able to see the initiation of foam on the surface, and it's sort of like when you're cooking pasta. If you watch the foaming and you see it start to initiate, you turn down the heat and you keep the pasta under control. If you're like me, you're sitting there watching the football game and you wait till you hear it boil over. Okay. Now that doesn't sit too well with my wife, and so she cooks the pasta.
Right. Okay. Now, when I guess this technology goes in, so do they have a control algorithm that can actually take input from your device and then make automatic changes, like turn down the heat on the pasta or something like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we do is we feed into their DCS with either OPC UA or Modbus or Profibus direct control, and then they take the algorithm and they've got it programmed to how much they're allowed to use, so they keep it under that range. They should do better.
For the amount of antifoam they add. Do they do things like adjust the agitator or anything like that yet, or not quite yet?
They can. A lot of that we're not privy to.
Okay.
And,
right. Very good.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. And I think some of these were actually are being used for COVID-19 applications?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a few have been used for that, and new plants are rapidly adopting them, and it's nice because it's an easy thing to retrofit. So we typically take their sight glass and mount it directly in a 4-inch tri-clamp light and camera. It gives the light and the view, and then where they had their light before, we would just put a window on there as a backup.
Okay.
So the retrofit is simple, easy, it's Ethernet based, and also we do remote support and startup. During COVID, we started up several of them in many installations by logging in a secure manner. They would either take us off their network when we're logging in, or we'd have a Citrix connection. Nice.
Well, I can say that we do some of the remote sessions with your technicians with the unit that we have here, and it works out quite well. So yeah. That's great. That's great. So you and I have been involved in the standards organizations for some time. You ASME, BPE, as well as ASTM, and we can name a few other alphabet soup components that we can go into. So what do you think of what's going on right now? We're coming out with a new standard for 2022 with ASME and some other things. Maybe you just want to comment on the standards activities now.
Yeah, I think it's progressing steady to rapid, faster than I thought it would.
Okay.
And faster than in the past.
Okay.
It's all relative. I think that it's all going in the right direction. I think there's a huge opportunity in the particle counting and particle analysis, because we're still a little bit in the Stone Ages, trying to take samples and identify what the sample is. There is a better way, and we've had the technology for 15, 20 years to go in that direction. We've progressed in other industries very rapidly, and we're taking that knowledge into the pharma and biotech now.
Well, I think the particulate thing is a very interesting thing. So we've adapted USP 788 from the vials, and it's kind of like we took this standard off the shelf and we've applied it here. And I think you've been helpful with helping some people realize the lessons you've learned in things like from the fuel industry and so on, how we can leverage technology in a different way, like you did with the foam sensor. I think that's definitely a way to look at it.
Yeah, that started off also in making latex and polymers, and adapted right away. And with the particle counting, I think we're in a unique position because imaging technology for particle analysis and counting has been around. We've been doing it for over 30 years. We started off in the sugar industry, actually when they seeded the crystallizers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was something that we found out in our experience. They were upgrading their sight glasses for safety and complete vacuum, and they were putting a microscope attached to the window to look at the seeding. And I go, that's cool. And I said, and I talked to them about what they were doing with it, and went back and we developed a crystal scope with backlighting, inverted lighting, to get the right picture for them. And it took off in that industry. Then we always use certain industries to vet our technology. Sugar is an easy one to enter, obviously. We can do it in our lab. safe to handle,
Yep.
and then progress from there in the particle analysis.
Perfect, perfect. So you were instrumental in forming the process instrumentation group at BPE, really getting that going. And that's taken off quite a bit. And now I guess we're breaking into two groups, a single-use group and a multi-use group and all. So what do you think of like kind of how you started that seed there, so to speak, to carry the seed and go from that to where we are now?
Really, really excited and happy about it. It's good that when you have a vision, to see it take hold and other people adopt the same vision. It's a real treat, and the group is very, very dynamic.
Oh yeah. Some of the more dynamic people in the BPE for sure. Your company is in 2 countries, right? You have a branch in Ireland as well as in upstate New York.
Yeah.
What's some of the challenges of running a company in 2 countries, or especially now with COVID, I would think must be really challenging.
Well, we even have an engineer in Thailand.
Okay.
Because we've got customers that are critical nature, like pharma and biotech, that need 24/7 support. So having people on the similar time zones is important. It's actually gotten easier, believe it or not. That was I used to travel to Ireland 4 or 5 times a year or more, and be with the group and just get the highlights. When COVID hit, I started to look and say, okay, what's out there? And so in March of the year it hit, we adopted Teams.
Okay.
So we immediately put everyone on the team platform, and I put an edict out that no more internal emails. Everything has to go to Teams, and I was a real hero. It was a battle, but what it did, it focused my attention on the needs, because it alerted me to the needs instead of saying, "Oh, I sent you that email 4 hours ago," and I'm okay, along with 100 other people. We're able to just dive into that and share technology across all 3 groups, including Thailand, immediately, efficiently, without a lot of duplication.
What advice would you give a young engineer coming into, whether it's biopharm or into the process industries? What is something that you would tell a young engineer now of some of the, I think, things that made you successful in your career?
Well, I had a unique opportunity to work with my dad, and he was brilliant, and he passed away very young. And the education he gave me was, I did it during school and right afterwards, obviously, was just so invaluable, because he brought me to the skill level. It wasn't just do this and turn the crank, but here's what you're doing, and you've got to challenge it, and I'm going to let you flounder a little, but you're going to learn it inside out. And that, I don't see that today, and I think the people coming out of school have to look and say, whatever I do in my job, it's a career move, and I've got to learn skills. And I've got to commit to those skills and show the people I'm working for that I am committed here, and I do want to learn more. And it's not just a matter of, okay, I'm in the seat.
Yep.
You know, and that's the thing I'd like to impart on them the most, is because whatever skills they learn will always carry with them in some form or another. And just the knowledge to learn those skills is that process, and the confidence that what you do on your own and build on what other people are teaching you is so valuable.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm teaching biochemical engineering this semester, and it's interesting, and I stress similar things with the students, to just that not many people are going to have the education that they have. And as much as it may seem, I don't know, mundane, I have to do calculations or I have to do this, it's really that knowledge that they're gaining is going to give them such a leg up on a lot of folks to navigate where we're going. And if you can drive that with, as you said, with this passion and this interest in it, the sky's the limit as to what they can have.
I think the other thing is people have to be able to think without their phone. Okay. And I see it all the time, and when I ask a question in our lab or in our meetings or anything else, no one's allowed to use a calculator. No one's allowed to do anything, but you've got to be able to think in your head and make sure of where you're at and express that on your own without punching a number in. And the reason I stress that is everything you do, you should have an idea in your head of approximately where you're going to be. So when you do punch in numbers and you do calculations, you say, ah, that worked out. Oh, it didn't work out. Why didn't it work out?
Yeah.
And where did I go wrong on my personal thinking, or did I hit a 10 instead of 100 in there? And that knowledge and that understanding of the process and being able to approximate things is a skill we've got to teach again.
Okay, I think that's wise. That's very wise. We've had some recent news recently, and Tom Brady is retiring. What do you think of Josh Allen? Will he get to the class of the GOAT? And you had a great run this year. Unfortunately, it didn't end well. So maybe, what do you think of that?
It was a great run. No regrets. One team had to lose.
We were upset when our game didn't go the way we wanted to, but then you guys went to the next round, so that was something. But what about Josh? I think
Josh
he's a different type of player.
He is, and I think we're going to see a different model going forward in the NFL. I think you've got to look at and say, okay, maybe you need a 2-quarterback system where different players are in there at different times.
College is doing that, so it could come this way.
And it's a 17-game season, and you're going to get beat up. And if you can get someone like Josh Allen out there with an option play running, it's tough to
opens
stop.
It up. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you being here. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your visit here?
I'd like to add I enjoy work with the group here.
Okay.
The people are terrific, personality-wise, but also the intellect. It's nice having the skill level and knowledge that you're immediately connected where you need to be, rather than having to bring someone up to speed. Everyone in the group is A+.
Thank you. And we're proud of that.
Yeah, you should be, and we're thrilled to work with the group.
All right, we're happy working with JM Canty too. Well, thank you very much for your visit between two ferals.
Okay.
And we hope to have you back again.
Looking forward to it.
All right, great.